Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Ben here, and I'm with my good friend, you know her, Jenna. What's up, Jenna?
Hey.
Welcome everybody back to the channel for the June Outturn preview tasting. This is the first time we've been together in a couple weeks, Jenna, I think. When was the last time we were on the channel?
It's been a while. I remember when you and I used to do all of these. There was a time when you and I did like every tasting together.
I forgot about that time, actually. Yeah. That was a good time. Well, we're back, everybody. Jen and I, Benna. No, I'm not suggesting we're a Hollywood couple. I'm just suggesting we're just two whiskey nerds here to show you a good time. We're back for the June Outturn preview tasting. Tomorrow is the release of our Outturn. And if you're new to the channel, what we do here, well, in the Scotch-Malt Whiskey Society, International Whiskey Club, we should throw like mystery in there. International Mysterious Whiskey Club of whiskey lovers around the world. And every month we release a whole selection of single malt whiskeys, predominantly single cask whiskeys, we call them. But tonight, we're going to taste through a selection of new whiskeys dropping tomorrow at smwusa.com. How was that? Was that good?
I loved that.
We talked about our intro. We were like, we got up our intro.
I was kind of hanging on the edge of my seat, and like then your voice got deep, and it was like the whole package.
Yeah. My vocal range is pretty limited. It's just low and low. But yeah, welcome everybody. Good to see you back. If it's your, I've seen a lot of familiar faces. Just quick little roll call. John Coling is the first one in tonight. John, if you're still here, that showing that was actually 45 minutes ago. But good evening, John. Joe Combs the second says good evening, everyone. John Mack. Okay, a lot of Johns and Joes in the house tonight. Warren Buff. Good evening, folks. Evan Stevens from DC. Evan, I was just there yesterday, actually, in DC, catching a layover. Jonathan Hopwood, another John, is here.
Jonathan today.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah. Well, you meet again, sort of. That's a thing. Big Ed says good evening. Good evening, everyone. Don, multicasking's back. Hey there, whiskey folk. Hey there, multicasking. Northwoods Whiskey Nerds. Seth Landsman. Right? Did I say that right? A few more Johns and a lot of more familiar faces. And I'm also seeing a lot of new faces as well. Yeah. So good to have you. And maybe you've talked to Jenna today as well. I don't know. Jenna, how are you feeling about this Outturn selection we got dropping tomorrow?
I'm excited. So I actually got an extra little preview of these yesterday because I hosted our Outturn preview tasting here in Georgia, which was really exciting. And so I'm excited to revisit them for a second time and really, take the time to dig into them a little bit. So yeah, I'm excited.
That's a good point, because when we do these live streams, and usually I try to taste them. We all usually try to taste them for the first time live, just to give like the most raw impression possible. But every time, I always say to myself, man, and I say this on during the stream, I wish I can go back and taste these, or that I will, or we'll hang up my plan, and I do that, and sort of sometimes my opinions change. So 1 point Jenna for coming in with some experience tonight. And the question from Andrew is that a Dead Kennedy shirt? No, Andrew, I'm on YouTube representing my friend Roy. This is an Aqua Vitae Barfly shirt. Roy and I were just together over the weekend, and I thought he gave me this shirt, and you know what better place to rep it than YouTube?
Speaking of Roy, I haven't seen you or talked to you in a week. Where have you been?
Oh, that was such a setup question that I did not ask you to set up. No, I just got back from Scotland last night, and we were commenting before the stream. If my eyes look super red, no, I'm not stoned. I'm completely jet lagged from a week of tasting. I use that word, I think, appropriately. Tasting a lot of whiskeys all day long. So here we are, and now I'm looking at 6 glasses in front of me with these 2-ounce samples, and I'm like, oh my god, what is going on? I've been drinking kombucha and green tea all day, like trying to like cling to life a little bit, and it's like, oh nope, 60% cask strength. Here we go, 6 of them.
One of them's a little higher than that, Ben. Just for you, 64.9. I think is our highest one tonight.
64.9. Question for everybody in chat: what's the highest strength? I don't want to ask that question Because then I was going to say, what's the highest strength whiskey you've ever had? But then it's just going to be like a one-upping contest. That I don't want to ask that question.
What's the
Better question. Better question. What are you drinking tonight? What are you tasting tonight? What are you tasting responsibly tonight? Pour yourself a dram if you haven't. It's Monday. It's the summer. And as you can tell by this background here, we are in the Scottish Highlands. The sun is setting. It's like such a perfect time to have a whiskey or 6. So,
I was looking through. There's some good ones. I think Northwoods Whiskey Nerds, they're having our Campbelltown Festival release, Changes Faster Than a Chameleon, which is beautiful.
Nice.
So well done. And I saw a few other ones people were dropping in the beginning, but I got to go back and see what they were. 122.38 out of Signal. That I loved that whiskey so much. Andrew, I'm jealous that you had mine is gone. So I'm jealous you have that in your glass tonight. That was a great whiskey.
Andrew, sounds like you have a new friend. If you're comfortable shoving this big microphone in front of your face, you can take my spot and you guys can hang out about it and talk about 122.38 out of Signal.
So good.
So yeah, let's get into some whiskey. I mean, we've got 6 tonight. We'll try to keep this at a sort of a reasonable run time. Why? Because I don't know why. Maybe we don't limit the time. We just try to, get through it and have fun. And if everybody's having fun, we'll be here. Yeah. So Gregory Cloyd makes a comment. I prefer best whiskey, most balanced, most fun, best value, most surprising whiskey, strongest whiskey. Meh. Yes, Gregory. If you're referring to the question that I began to pose and then immediately retracted, I agree. So, so I'm defaulted to what are you drinking right now? We'll get to more, I think, thought-provoking questions after a few drams.
Let's get a whiskey in you.
Jenna, you want to kick us off? You've had a chance to taste these last night at an official event. You're familiar. Do you know, since you've tasted these, is there anything that you think I'm going to like have a reaction to of any sort?
I don't want to say, because there's like a difference when you're like doing a tasting and kind of tasting as you're talking and educating and like doing all of the things and like being here, like in the quiet, like it's atmosphere, right? And I haven't really had a chance, like I said, to like really dig into these. And so maybe there's one. There's one that really stood out to me. Like if I had to pick one, but I'm not going to say yet.
Okay.
So in short, no, I'm not saying it yet.
All right. Well, everybody pour yourself a dram. We'll go through this lineup. And a reminder, everything comes out at 1 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow, available online or over the phone. And Multicasking says, what is the over-under on Ben's wow moments for this Outturn? I'm calling 11.
Your oh man moments?
He's calling it's the oh man.
Either way. Oh man moments.
What was you had a thing? Didn't you develop your own thing, or somebody called earlier? Oh, Jenna's got a thing going on. I think you were the wow person. Right?
Maybe. I wear it on my face, like when I taste a whiskey. It's really hard for me to hide my emotions. So I wear what I'm thinking on my face.
Yeah. All right.
Let's
drive. I'm running shotgun.
All right. So the first one, I kind of want to talk about it and then tell people what it is. And can we do it that way?
Yeah, sure. I just want to drink it, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah, yeah, of course.
All right. So the first whiskey is. All right, I'm just gonna tell people.
No. You should just do your thing. We're all over. It's over 100 of us just waiting to hear it. But
all right,
don't mind us. Just
let's see. Unless you were at the Outturn last night or know what it is, don't spoil it for anyone else. But I'll give you some clues, and then you taste it, Ben. I'm going to give some clues as to what this distillery is, and then we'll talk about it. So this is a Highland Distillery. And if you know Zach, who's on our team, it's one of his favorite distilleries. And typically you see this distillery in as far as their own kind of releases or other releases, you typically see this in sherry. But the bourbon component, or sometimes when they're putting this whiskey into bourbon cask, that typically goes into it's one of the components of Bell's, the blended whiskey. And so if that gives you an idea as maybe where this distillery is from. Oh, it smells pretty getting on the nose. I'm gonna throw it up there. Let's nose it and taste it.
Am I guessing what it is, or are they guessing?
You already know what it is.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna. Well, I was. Yeah, I wasn't.
Anybody who's listening, if they have a guess as to where this whiskey comes from, we'll kind of do it like we do our Outturn preview tasting.
No one will guess this. That's my feeling. Well, actually, I think we might just.
There's some brilliant whiskey nerds out there.
This smells really nice, though.
It smells really nice, and there's like really good place. See, George Kaplan, boom.
68.
This is, in fact, Cask 68.65 Floral Laurel. This is a 12-year in our spicy and sweet flavor profile. Refill hogshead at 58.2% ABV. Yeah.
Wow.
I just love the nose on this.
A bit sweet on the nose. You know, it's just funny. I just came back from sort of like Western Scotland, and oddly, just 90% of the whiskey I had was peated whiskey, and I'm just kind of I'm in like my mind is in one place, and this really kind of put me in a much warmer, richer sort of like environment. You know what I mean? Like it's really, really warming. It's also 85 degrees outside. So.
It just has a really beautiful texture. Like the texture that you smell on this whiskey just makes me want to drink it.
Yeah, sort of richer dark fruits. And you suggested, well, actually, I guess oh yeah, that's right there in front of me. Refill hogshead. So this is an American oak cask, and there's like a heavy cask influence, or like it's really, really warm. Like it kind of evokes more of a wine cask, or like an Oloroso sherry in a little bit.
So at the tasting last night, that was a popular guess that this was not, in fact, in ex-bourbon, that it was some type of wine cask. So really interesting. And fun fact, this is the 4th most visited distillery in Scotland.
Really?
I know. I said the same thing.
I was about to say, like, oh yes, at the society we get to offer some unique whiskeys from distilleries that nobody knows about, except for George Kaplan, and then the fact that evidently so many other people go there. But
yeah, but look how many people are huge fans of 68.
You know, the spicy and sweet flavor profile I think like you and I have a history with that one. Like it goes in so many different directions, and this one is not very spicy. Like there's a gentle warming, like sort of autumnal baking spice on it. It's not okay. I mentioned like it could be an Oloroso sherry cask, but it's not as heavy. It's a bit more gentle, gentler. Just so much like a vanilla frosting, little herbaceous. Big Highland whiskey, yeah.
It is. It's so good.
Cheers, 58%. I'm like hydrating with this.
So what you said, you got like that kind of earthy profile. So I want to let you taste it first before I ruin your thoughts.
Oh my God.
Right?
Oh my God. Don't say, oh my God, when you're sipping 58% whiskey. Immediately luscious, creamy texture.
So creamy.
You describe it first, and we can like go back and forth, but I want to hear kind of your overall thoughts. And
this reminds me of if you're eating like cake in the woods, and it's like a homemade frosting, but it is definitely vanilla frosting, like a homemade like vanilla buttercream, and like I don't know, the cake like falls in the dirt, or a dog runs by and like gets dirt on your cake or something, and you eat it and you just get like that earthy vanilla like profile, and it's so good. It's so good. That was like a weird description, but it is earthy and vanilla and creamy, and like it is. I'm a very big fan of this.
It's a surprising profile to get, like, on paper, like when you look at this, okay, what am I looking at? There's a lot of capitals and semicolons, but I think in between I have deciphered it's 12 years old from the Highlands, spicy and sweet, from a refill hogshead. And I think when you think of refill hogshead, you know, it's a gentler cask. It's been reused several times. And so this seems to have, I mean, it just seems like, I'm looking at it in presentation, not judging by color, but it seems to have really sort of influenced the development of this whiskey too. Like, there's a lot of cask in it, which is shocking. So maybe that hogshead was used for short periods of time, you know, before, because it's pretty active, surprisingly.
Read the tasting notes real quick.
Yeah.
So it says flowering laurel and elderflower, fudge, butterscotch, and honey sweetness, pecan pie, and hazelnut chocolate with ginger and horseradish heat.
Yeah. Yeah, the horseradish is an interesting element. I didn't get so much of that. Did you pick up on that at all?
I mean, it did. Like, on the finish, there is definitely like that little like burny sensation on the tip of your tongue, which maybe you get with, like, I love horseradish, and I can kind of like see how they would get that. But as far as flavor goes, I don't get the flavor of that. Maybe the sensation, but not the flavor. Good stuff.
It's delicious. It's like, I would say it's a delicious whiskey. Like, that's you know what I mean? Like, that's an appropriate name. It's like delicious. Like, it gets easy to drink. It's got some heft to it.
Yeah.
You know, it is a bit prickly. Like, there's a little bit like an oak, like a prickly oak thing going on in the finish.
There's a little prickle to it.
Okay. one down, and
I could sit with this for a while.
Yeah. I would be content just sipping on this whiskey, talking to all the fine folks who are with us this evening.
Yeah, this I'm into this. All right.
George says, I sent a sample of 68.34 roasty toasty tasty. Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
With friend, and they throw out a 60 the next day. I think 68s are usually underrated in my book. Oh my god, I just knocked off all my oh my god, all my covers. Awkward. Yeah. This is a total under the radar whiskey, you know. And surprised to hear that so many people go to visit the distillery, but
I know. I wonder if it's just maybe where it is, and it's like on. I don't know.
What are the top 3?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Oh wait, John Cullen asked a question. Whoa, what are the top 3? Sorry, John, I just saw that you asked first. I would guess Glenkinchie, because it's 20 minutes from Edinburgh, and you know, it's got to be. I'm sure proximity has a factor. You know, that's got to be high up there. We don't really know the answers. Anybody knows the answers? I'm sure you can look this up. Maybe then I'm sure the big Glens.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Glenlivet or Glenfiddich
is probably up there.
Which one? I'm sorry.
Macallan's probably up there.
Macallan's got to be up there. It
has to be. That's like a pilgrimage for so many people in the whiskey world.
Yeah, but you got to get up there, you know, and like, which means you have to, which you have to be going there for the whiskey. But like, the ones around Edinburgh, like, or even Glengoyne. I don't think Glengoyne's that visited though, because Glenkinchie is. Anyway, we can go on and on forever, but I could be totally wrong. Glenkinchie would be like the 37th most visited to Scotland, you know, distillery in Scotland. But anyway.
All right. Well, Floral Laurel. It's beautiful. If you love this story, don't sleep on this. It is, as Ben said, just a delicious whiskey. It really is. Whew. All right. Shall we cruise into number 2?
Yeah, cruise.
You're just riding shotgun. I'm driving. All right. So number 2 is a distillery that still uses worm tubs. I can tell you that as I'm pouring myself a wee dram. This is one of those distilleries too that I remember when I first came on to the team and I had my first one and I was like, I have never heard of this distillery. What is this? Like they've made this up. And the ones that I've had over the years now, after being on the team and having access to all this beautiful whiskey, I've been really impressed with this distillery.
Are you opening the bottle over there? Is that what I heard?
Oh yeah, I had it like they're all like.
Oh my God, they had the condom or the what do they call those things? The what is that? Oh, because you shipped them? Did you pack them? What's that called? That what are they? Parafilm.
Yeah.
Like condoms. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing.
Oh man. Oh, you put those on the bottles to
Yeah.
Interesting. Gotta protect those bottles.
Heck yeah. All right. So the next cask that we are going to be tasting on this show is cask 48.130 Yellow Smash, which I don't know why they call it Yellow Smash. Yeah. Not quite sure on that one. And this is an 8-year Speyside in a first fill ex bourbon barrel. There you go. Spicy and sweet too. 2 spicy and sweets side by side.
Who is the YouTube user that said, I have missed that voice? I'm going to guess Neil, but it could be somebody else. Jesus. Let's move on from that. Yellow Smash. Totally thrown off.
Yellow Smash.
Oh. Totally different.
Very different. Like
so much more lively.
Wildly.
Oh, well, but that's why. I mean, first of all, we're talking 8 years. What's the percent here? So we've gone younger.
Yeah, by 4 years. We're going 12 years, 8 years.
60.6%. Okay, so we've gone younger. It's funny because usually, Javi, it's Javi. Usually we go younger to older, and then so we're going younger this time.
Yeah, we switched it up a little, try to keep things exciting, try to keep people on the edge of their seats. Okay. Question for you on this whiskey. Do you get like that sulfur compound on the nose on this? Like, is this sulfury to you? I know like you say sulfur and it's like, oh God, who would want to drink that? But so many distilleries that use worm tubs typically try to harness that. So yeah. I'm just curious if you get that on this whiskey.
I mean, a little bit.
Very faint.
But maybe it's just like an illusion of depth. Oh, just splash this shit all over me. Oh. A little bit, like a little faint struck match, but not. I wouldn't have picked it up if you hadn't asked the question, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's the power of suggestion.
Yeah.
Very bright, very lively. Has some sort of classic orchard fruits. A little bit of lavender. Like there's like a floral component to it. You know what I mean? Good call.
Good call.
Just the color scheme I have going on right now here in this. Yeah.
This beautiful Scottish sunset.
Mm. Is your hair lavender these days? What?
Kind of. The top is. Mm. Andrew says that 48 also makes a great gin as well. And that's true. And actually, if you visit that distillery, you will not go on a whiskey tour. You will go on a gin tour.
Whoa. Okay. Such a different thing. The raw, intense, lively, spirit driven, all the things. It's gripping. This is a big. It's funny. I want to describe it as a big whiskey. It's you know what I mean? Because like, does that make sense? The big, I think of like the first one we had, I think was a big whiskey. When I think of big, I think like explosion of flavor. This is more of like a one, not one dimensional, but it's more narrow and focused and just like, it's like a sniper. Boom.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah. The other one is like big, like symphony wise. Like if you ever have been to like a symphony and it's like big and you feel it and you're just like, oh my God, this is like the best thing ever. And like, that's like going to like a hardcore show or something in your mouth. It's like going to see some hardcore band. That's like a mosh pit in your mouth.
Question from the Northwood. Does Bean saying Does Bean saying "whoa" count as a wow moment? I mean, it was like startling. You know what I mean? I mean, it's really, really intense, lively whiskey, and I know some people really go after this.
Yeah, it is. Yellow smash. Makes me think of like the Hulk or something, even though he's green.
But instantly with water, more stone fruits, but more sort of malt, cereal grains.
Yeah.
A bit of like dried grass, perhaps, you know. And
yeah, I get like apricot and like hay, so that dry grass, apricot, like hay, and it is very malty. It's like biscuits and apricots, and it's like a old person's snack, but in a good way.
Yeah, to John Colling, to your point, being narrow and focused is not necessarily a bad thing. I totally agree. Yeah, I didn't mean it as a negative, but just as acknowledgement of two distinct differences in character between this whiskey and the previous one, and this is like it just you know what I mean. It's like more narrow. So I'm using ammunition or weapons as an analogy for whatever reason, but it's like a sniper. It's just like snipe me. As the first one was just like a shotgun of flavor everywhere. Yeah. There you go.
This is just very straight to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great though. Fun. Yep. Yeah. Cool.
It's quick hitter, easy, done. Let's move on. We have 4 more whiskeys to go through tonight.
We do.
And,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. So the next whiskey that we're going to be tasting is, I have to rinse my glass. Yeah. I'm not prepared.
Jenna's like super not excited for this one at all.
Yeah. You are not excited?
No, you were. I was kidding. You're like, you seem overly excited. So like you're hinting at the bit that this would be a really good one.
Yeah, so like when I saw this like on the list, like coming down the pipeline, I was first just really stoked about it because I love the name of it, actually. That's a great name. And yeah, stoked to just kind of see. I was excited just to see, you know, like what it had in store, just because I think the name's super cool. So I'm stalling, I'm sorry. All right, so got a little color on it, if that gives you a clue. So the next whiskey that we're going to be tasting is Cask 12.67 Horseback in the Forest. Like, what a great name. I wish I was freaking horseback in the forest right now with a glass of whiskey in my hand. So this is a Speyside whiskey in our Dirtiff flavor profile.
All right, I hate the Dirtiff.
Our deep, rich, and dried fruits.
Horseback in the forest. All right. Sorry, I was just still imagining like the visual of like, you know, I haven't even tasted the whiskey yet. I'm just imagining
like the horse in the forest. It's like damp and like the sun's like kind of beaming through all the trees, and you're on just like this beautiful like thoroughbred and just cruising through the forest on a thoroughbred with a whiskey in your hand. I don't know. Sounds like a treat.
Yeah. Let's go. Take me there. All right.
Exactly. Exactly. So the thing about this is it spent 10 years in an ex-bourbon hogshead, and then the final 2 years it went to a second fill red wine barrique. So that's it right there.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. So do we know how much time has it spent in each one in the ex-bourbon, and what is the ex-bourbon cask?
Yeah, 10 years in ex-bourbon and then 2 years in the second fill charred red wine barrique.
It was an ex-bourbon hogshead, or presumably?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, ex-bourbon hogshead and then second fill red wine barrique.
Horn Buff says, and I like this observation, deep, rich, and dried fruits already at the 3rd bottle. This could bode well. Yeah, usually like it's a flavor profile with more of our heavily heavily flavored, richer whiskeys, I should say. And so we tend to like saturate our palates in an order, you know, and you're right. So the fact that this is number 3 of 6 is telling of I think what's to come.
Yeah, that's a great observation too. Here we are thinking I was gonna sneak it by.
really important question we just have to address. Do you have the same cabinets, Ben and Jenna? Yes, Jenna got these cabinets. I thought they were cool.
No, that's reverse.
Yeah, but you take the doors off of yours?
There are no doors on the middle two.
Like intentionally, or that's how it came?
I just didn't put them on there.
Oh, smart. Yeah.
Yeah. But the reason that we went with these, so they're different colors. But during like COVID, when things were crazy, you couldn't get furniture or anything, and these just happened to be available, so I snatched them up.
Right.
Yeah.
My cabinets match Jenna's hair and almost like exactly, which is kind of weird right now. And her cabinets match my personality. So there's that.
Although Danny says, I love how Ben's give a crap meter is running today.
Yeah, man.
And then
the shield.
And then John Mack said, where is Scott?
Scott is actually doing an in-person tasting tonight.
He is.
I was like, you know what? The whiskey tube, I've had enough of him. No, he's actually helping out at something and did a huge favor, and so we're able to jump in.
He is hosting.
Danny. No, Danny, I'm just jet lagged. I apologize. I'm like super stoked to be here. I'm just jet lagged, and it's like, what time is it? 7:30. So
all right,
my mind's at 2 a.m. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's rage at 2 a.m. and get into this.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful nose.
Yes, I agree.
Straight off the bat. This is probably, I'm waiting for the scroll up. This is lower ABV, 55-ish. Oh, 57. Okay. There it is. I was like waiting for it to go across.
Yep.
Oh, really, really evocative. Man, the red wine barrique.
They've been really impressive. I cannot think of, and we've done like a nice range of distilleries in this type of cask, which is really nice.
This is really amazing.
It's
so much going on at 12 years and oh man.
Like this is one of those ones you just fall asleep like smelling this. It just smells so good. As you're on horse in the forest.
Yeah. Everybody has a unique relationship with whiskey, and Jenna's is kind of on the list of like uniqueness. Like it's up there. You know, she sleeps with it, she rides horses with it, she sings to it, she brushes her teeth with it.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, you know, like I said, gray kind of guy. I just drink it and talk about it on YouTube and occasionally put shit up on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like when you read a good book and just like kind of takes you somewhere. Whiskey does that for me.
Yeah, so this is, I'm just nosing at fantastic whiskey. I'm going to go in. Cheers, everybody. Oh, man. I mean,
like
nonchalant. Oh, man. Amazing. Okay. Just delicious. Let me go back to it.
Okay. Of the first two whiskeys, like, I didn't really have the same experience I had last night with them. But this one, when I tasted it, I was like, okay, this is brilliant. And you tasted it, so I can ruin what you're thinking about it in your head. But what I really love about this is that like at the very end of the finish, it like sucks all the moisture out of your mouth. Like that dry, just like, it's like just a instant, just like dryness on your palate. And it is so good. Right?
A little bit, velvety, luscious, a little bit tannic.
Tannic, yes. I love that note on this whiskey.
Mm-hmm. But I also think it's at full cask strength. I think I'm going to add some water. I want to see if that changes. It definitely can take some water. For me, you can tell it's like really compact at cask strength. It needs to open up a little bit. It's begging to be opened up.
One of the tasting notes I got on this last night, or at least on the nose, is one of our members, Alex, said that it smells like red Twizzlers. Like when you open up red Twizzlers, like that smell. Like what he got on the nose.
Yeah. One. Yeah. Oh, spot on. Right. Right. Yeah. Someone said that last night at your event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had some great tasting notes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, some really good ones.
Add some water. I'm going in immediately to add water.
Yeah, I added a little too.
It's like Caskian says, I love Red Twizzler notes on whiskey. Dude, I go for Red Twizzler note like every day. That's my thing.
And then you can just cut or bite the top and bottom of it and then use it as a straw.
Okay, instantly I just think water to this one. I've added a healthy dash, 57. I'm hypothesizing if I added that much, it's what I did. It's probably down to like 50% right now. This is a little guesstimate based on the volume in my glass and how much I just added. Who knows? But I think it's a comments are killing me, dude. These comments are just sorry.
But YouTube user Javi's question of, does it smell like the Haunted Mansion? Okay, the Haunted Mansion is my favorite ride at Disney. And that smell is, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I love the Haunted
Mansion. Yeah, no. Spoiler, we were just with that's Javier, my friend Javier. We were just in Scotland together this week, and with our friend Neil Patrick Harris, and we just did a cask pick, and one of them smelled like a Haunted Mansion.
Oh my! Please tell me the one you picked.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's one that.
I just hope it's not the Haunted Mansion.
Oh, it was an Isla. It was like a young, aggressive one, but like somehow it was a Haunted Mansion. So, fun fact, everybody watching, we'll have some NPH cask picks that are dropping. We just made those this week, and one of them's like a Haunted Mansion. So, and multicasking says the Haunted Mansion rocks.
Yes, so, I love that. That's my favorite ride.
So there you go. There you go.
Out of this world, rare release has large integrity.
Okay. This is amazing.
Okay.
This is no. I mean, this is come on. Let's be first serious. Fantastic whiskey. It's lush. It's rich. Does not to me scream, red wine barrique. I said it was tannic when it was cask strength. It's not so much with water to me. It's much gentler. It's not as prickly. I think a little bit of sort of like like a molded sort of cheese type of thing.
Yep.
A little bit of like it's very creamy. Does not have the classical sort of bourbon notes of vanillas and caramels. Maybe there's a little toasted caramel, some hazelnut. The nuttiness is there. The red fruits are there.
Big red.
Telling about the red Twizzlers. I think that was spot on. Not so much with a little bit of water, but water definitely improves the overall character and balance. By far, this is a double matured whiskey too. So you said it's been 10 years in the bourbon hogshead, 2 in the red wine. It's just so it's such a full profile. You know what I mean? I think it's just so well executed. I probably would not have guessed red wine cask in blind. I would have thought it was some sort of, maybe fortified wine like a port, but I don't know. That's not that sweet, so maybe I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Stellar for me. This is a stellar whiskey.
Yeah, really, really beautiful whiskey. Tatum is asking, hi Tatum, is asking what the tasting notes. So I'm going to read the bottle notes real quick. So this says, riding through a forest, enjoying a slice of walnut cake before finishing with strawberry fondant filled dark chocolate.
Yeah. This is like a no-brainer.
Hold on. Yeah.
It's hard not, and it's a horseback in the forest.
I know, such a full package on this. Great name, beautiful whiskey, 2 different experiences with and without water. And I definitely can see that. Big red fruits for me on this. I'm just getting an abundance of red fruits on this. It's really beautiful.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah, this is like a good one. Honestly, I'm not, Jenna and I, we taste a lot of whiskeys. Let's pretend we like a lot of whiskeys, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't have this kind of reaction, to many whiskeys. This is just for me personally, this is yep, that's on my list.
Do you get dark chocolate on it? John Colling's asking, do you? I don't.
Maybe like a little bitter cocoa.
Yeah.
The finish is kind of bitter,
But maybe that's that. I think that's that tannic quality of this whiskey for me. I'm getting more of that than like a bitter chocolate or like a dark chocolate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
not so much.
Yeah.
The hazelnuts are like it's still pretty nutty. Anyway, there you go. That's whiskey number 3. We're at the halfway point.
All right.
And where we're going from here is
Yeah. All right. Tally ho. Number 4. Oh my gosh, this smells so good. I just opened it and it's just like in my face. It smells so good. All right. So there's like a theme tonight, kind of, right? Look at that color. What could that be?
I don't know. What could it be?
I think this is by far one of our most underrated distilleries that we bottle from. I think the single cask from this distillery that we put out are just absolutely stunning. And I'm so excited every single time to see this distillery come down the line. So, and what's really special about this cask is it is a full US exclusive, meaning we're getting all of it.
That was like it's just funny how we used to get like one like a year, and I just like you just casually dropped, oh, this is a US exclusive cask. So thank you to everybody who's watching in chat. The US is the second largest, I think, chapter in the world. We're fighting with our friends at China. No, I'm kidding. Like, we're really friendly with our friends at the Chinese branch, but like we're both fiercely competitive economies and superpowers and whiskey drinkers, apparently. So because of you and obviously the growth enthusiasm, we've been able to like choose these casks that come and get the full cask. So yeah, I didn't realize that until right now, and I was just remarking how casual it is. I just want to pause and take a moment to just reflect on like a few years ago.
Yeah,
you know, we had to really fight tooth and nail to even get like our own cask in the US, and now it's like we can anything because of all the support from growth and membership and everything. We get like first cut of all the whiskeys that the society bottles, so it's amazing. So thank you. And so no pressure. This whiskey better be really good because I mean I was just like no.
Well, I think you're going to be in for quite a treat. So, all right. So this is Cask 35.302, a quick-witted dovetail. This is a 14-year Speyside that spent 12 years in an ex-bourbon hogshead, and then the remaining years in a first fill ex-Pedro Jimenez shaved, toasted, and recharred barrique. There it is.
Seasoned STR barrique. So the barrique was shaved, toasted, and recharged, and then seasoned with PX.
Yeah, first fill Pedro Jimenez. It's
nice.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one of these. Like, this combination of, cask type and previous, like,
yes. Oh, even Evan Stevens says yes.
Yes.
So quick poll, everybody in the chat. If everybody's watching, we have 100 of you. If you had to pick one cask type, would you pick a bourbon for Scotch whiskey maturation? Would you pick bourbon cask or sherry cask? Curious. This one whiskey's obviously spent time in both, but if you had to pick just one, and obviously you don't have to pick just one because here's a whiskey that's both again, but bourbon or sherry in general, I'm just curious to see the consensus from everybody watching tonight.
Interesting question.
Kind of get into this whiskey.
What would you pick, Ben?
I want to see what everybody else put. Okay.
Well, what everyone else is. What would you? What do you feel in your heart of hearts, Ben?
Well, let me try this whiskey and then I'll tell you. I'll tell you my answer has changed over the years.
Yeah. So
I mean I'm not going to hide it. I'm happy to share it. I want to see what everybody says. I don't want to influence what people say. Not that people would like say what I say. Just I mean, like that was kind of an arrogant thing to say. No, I mean, but let's get to the whiskey. I'm just gonna.
I wish I had the previous one in a glass still. I would love to nose those side by side. This one's like way nuttier to me on the palate. like deep, like roasted, like pecans and like, I don't know, there's like a peanutty note almost on this.
The cask makeup is so unique on paper, and I think that really translates into the liquid itself. What I'm going to describe here might sound super crazy, so and if you're listening to this and thinking like that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, I won't blame you. But this is like it's like there's two levels firing at the same time. You know what I mean? Like it tastes like it feels like I'm tasting two whiskeys simultaneously. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna go back. I just have one taste.
That way.
I'm sorry?
I just described a whiskey that way, actually.
Was it this one?
No, it was not this one. It was, I think my last stream I did. It was the rare release, the 53 rare release. For Isle Whiskey Fest. I described it as like, it's like having this beautiful glass of sherry and like this beautiful, just like distillate or ex-bourbon distillate and having them at the same time. So it wasn't two whiskeys, but two different spirits at the same time. So I absolutely understand what you're saying.
It's such a unique, strong to them. 64.9% ABV. This is the one that's really strong.
Yeah.
I'm like sipping this, like, oh, it's like two whiskeys at the same time. It's kicking my ass. I didn't even realize it. And then I was like, it's a little prickly. Whoa. Okay.
Okay. So KLG223 said, I was at the Outturn preview tasting and this was coronation chicken to me, curry and raisin all day. And now that I've read that, I can't get that curried note out of my head. That's really an interesting, like, I get it. I get it now. Dang it. That's where I was getting like that peanutty kind of note. I don't know. There was like oh my gosh. I have to like reset my palate or my nose here. That's such a great note. Dang it.
I think my description of like being like two different levels is like different dimension type of whiskey is probably because it was such a high ABV, and for whatever reason, I'm like acclimated. I mean, I think I honestly had a lot of whiskey in the last week, and I think I'm kind of like acclimated right now, and so I didn't detect that. I'm gonna add water and see if that carries for it because it's in sensational dram.
Man, this is wow. Wow. Wowie. Wow.
Yeah, water brings out a lot more raisins, some plums, a little bit like fig and more toffee. The PX sherry really comes through with water. You know, it was a bit of an enigma, like at full strength. I didn't know it's hard to articulate the flavors and what it was. It was just I was so focused on the texture and the character because it was so strong. But now with a little bit of water, so much more comes out, and I get a lot of more of sort of those like sort of dessert baking type of notes.
But at cask strength, it's like an experience. Like this is an experience
yeah.
of a whiskey. Like I don't really know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
It's just like a full body experience.
Yeah.
This at cask strength.
Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, it kind of like sunk up at me at the end. I could have continued on with that.
I don't know. I mean, I put like a healthy, I had a pretty good little pour in my glass, but I think I prefer this without water.
Oh, you're just.
I don't know. Like it's so much more like intense. I don't know if I would like this so much without water if this was like the first whiskey I was having, like of the day. But obviously we're on number 4. It's probably a little bit different of an experience, but that full just like jilt of like flavor and like I don't know. It was, I don't know. Really loved it at cask strength.
Dude, these last two have been killer. This is okay. So with the water though, I totally support like your preference yourself. Like the experience is real.
Mm-hmm.
I had that and I was like, oh my God, there's two whiskey. I'm drinking two whiskeys at the same time. Like, you know, that was an experience. But the flavor is becomes so much more refined. And I think with some water, like when you prove it down a little bit, you identify a lot of the classical notes of PX, which is like sort of like sticky fruits and sort of like some overripened berries, more fig. Like there's so much more. It's more elegant, but I totally am with you. For me, articulation of flavor is good for tasting, like what we're doing tonight, but like the experience of the whiskey is what matters.
Yeah.
That said, my preferred experience is with water, but I think you and I kind of have that, like, general, like you prefer cask strength, and I'm like the snob who's like, no, I must taste everything. You know?
I was just talking about that to somebody, like about our like over the years. No, that just like we've been tasting whiskey together for a long time, and our palates are usually pretty aligned. And I think this is where like we see the biggest difference is like the water thing.
What's your, so I asked the question about bourbon versus sherry and what everybody, thank you for answering. What would your pick be, Jenna, if you had to pick one cask type? And I asked the question because this whiskey spent time in two different types, the bourbon cask and PX Pedro Jimenez sherry cask. If you had to pick one for full maturation, what would it be? And it's such a broad.
I would pick bourbon.
You would pick bourbon.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. I would too, actually. But it's kind of like, okay, so now I could call myself out here. The question's ridiculous because we don't have to just pick one.
Exactly.
I think the way to look at it is like if you pick 10 whiskeys, like if you reach for 10 whiskeys at your home bar, which look what's behind us, we have more than 10. But if you were like pick 10 over the course of 10 days, how many of those would be from a bourbon cask and how many would be from a sherry cask? You don't have to answer. You don't have to answer.
Yeah. Mine are mostly
bourbon.
Ex-bourbon. I mean, like Jarrell loves anything in ex-bourbon. Yeah. So that's, but like but that's not why. Like I genuinely too. And I think the reason I like it so much is because depending on like what type of cask it is, it's a first fill, refill, second fill, a hogshead, whatever the case is, there are some times or some opportunities to really like taste like the character of like the distillery. And I really love that. To like really sit and kind of just like dissect that. And I don't feel like I get that opportunity as much, I guess, with sherry cask, and maybe that's why. But I don't know.
I think I'm like a 70-30 split.
Yeah.
I used to be like 70-30 sherry to bourbon, and then I went like eventually 50-50. And I think I'm like a 70-30, but that's not to say that like the most profound whiskey tasting moments I have at home are bourbon casks. That's kind of what whiskeys I go for, but because I don't know, I can think of a lot of. Anyway, we can go on and on and on. We got two more whiskeys to taste. We've immediately gone into like after hours because we found a whiskey that we both really like, and now we're like, okay, let's just like talk about whiskey.
Well, the next one, I will say too, like, in mood has a lot to do with it for me. Like, what is my mood like for the day? Yeah. Sometimes like I'm feeling whimsical and I want something in sherry or some type of different cask, or I don't know, it really just depends. So all right,
it's a good question. I mean, these conversations are good to have, like and the same can be said for where I suspect we're going, which is peated versus unpeated. And I don't know, I mean, I think I just bring it up because like my preferences have changed, and I find that sometimes people are so set in their preferences when it comes to whiskey enjoyment, like Scotch whiskey or bourbon, and like it's like there's a loyalty thing going on. Like I felt this. Have you ever felt this? Like you feel like you're loyal. Like I felt loyal to certain distilleries. Like even I was just on Isla the other day. I was like thinking I was at Ardbeg, and I was like, you know what? There was a time I was like I was not like in Ardbeg because I liked Lafroig, and I thought like you know, like I would pick one over the other. Like how ridiculous was that?
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is just, I don't know. So I'm just calling this out to see how you feel, and then how everybody else feels. But the big question is, you know, do your preferences change?
Absolutely. Like without question. If you asked me this question 5 years ago, or like what was that, almost 7 years ago that you and I like started talking about whiskey, my preferences would have been very different. Even a year ago, they would have been different. You know, your palate's always evolving and it's changing. And as you're exposed to different things over time, like it's a growing thing, right? It's an evolving thing. And so, yeah, my preferences are always changing. But where I'm at right now, I'm digging ex bourbon.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I'm gonna take another sip of this and then put a cap on it because I want to come back later on.
All right. Well, as you're doing that, I will talk about this next distillery. And fun fact about this next cask is it too is a full U.S. exclusive cask. So we are doing, I know, right?
Dude, I've been on a rock because I didn't know that.
Very exciting, you know, things that we're doing here tonight, Ben. And this is a distillery that I love having this in the lineup, especially of this profile. I love having this in the lineup, especially in blind tastings, because so many people in a blind tasting, and for the record, blind tasting single cask whiskey is extremely difficult. I proved that when we did our like marathon of tasting last year. It's very difficult. But so many people believe that this is an Islay whiskey. And it is in fact a Speyside whiskey. And
Who believes this? Who are these people that believe this?
I really love that. So
blind tasting is so easy. I could do that in my sleep all day long.
Ben, I've seen you in some blind tastings, and I still remember one very vividly in LA, and I was just
okay. No, I was making a joke. Don't support my bullshit here. I was just okay.
I witnessed it.
I've had some lucky moments over my whiskey enthusiast career, but generally it's very difficult. And I totally am joking when I said, who would have thought this was an Islay whiskey, which presumably it's not. We haven't even put it up yet, but it's so difficult. So I totally support that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. So, all right. Well, this is Cask 108.41 Burnt Dust. We're getting right into it. This is an 11-year Speyside and a second fill ex bourbon barrel at 62.1% ABV. And this is an repeated flavor profile. Burnt Dust.
I love that name. I think that's just fantastic. Like it's not. I haven't even tasted it yet, but I understand some members do like to make sort of like buying decisions based on the name, and I mean people buy the whiskeys for a lot of different reasons: the profile, the distillery, the cask. You know, but I would honestly buy that from the name. Like it's just like sounds like cool. So let's see if it lives up to it.
Yeah, it's a good name.
Oh, amazing. I'm on this Pete face. I can't. I don't know what to do about it. It just speaks to me now. I left it for a few years. Oh, it's back and it feels so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've never left the Pete thing. You've never left.
Yeah, I can't. I've tried, and like even in the summertime when it's like hot AF here today in Atlanta, and I'm like, I would just love a peated whiskey, but instead I'm just gonna make a highball, and it's great. Get a little bit of peat, a little refreshment, a little thirst quenching action, a little lemon. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I had a great tasting note on this particular whiskey last night from actually the manager of the venue that we, she's very into whiskey, had some really brilliant tasting notes. And I want to share it with you because you'll know after I share it, but I'll share it after you've tasted it.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah. I was just going to say.
No. I'm not ruining it.
I mean, you said red Twizzlers earlier, and I was like, I couldn't get the red Twizzler.
Okay, but this one, I've been like waiting to taste this whiskey with you, so not going to do that.
Are you looking at me or the comments? I thought. Sorry, I was going to say.
I was looking at the comments.
I was like making this weird like mouth motion, like trying to like.
Tasted it
the
yet.
last one was the last one was so good. I was like holding on to that finish, which sounds really lame, but so I wasn't ready to give it up yet. And before I put this whiskey in my mouth, so I'm ready now. That gives any indication of how I feel about this lineup so far.
Ooh.
I think I'm like in the mood right now where like everything's just rock solid.
Yeah.
I don't think real life is like that. I think I got this thing going on in my head. Like, this is so good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just in the whiskey groove right now. I don't know. I've renewed my vows, and I'm just like, I'm digging this. Totally. I totally respect the complexity or the difficulty of blind tasting, but I just want to call it, this is very different from a peated Islay whiskey. You know, so I understand if you're like Jenna, we're fortunate we taste so many different whiskeys, but this is fantastic. But it's definitely
very different.
Mainland peat, sort of burning forest floor, doesn't have the coastal elements. I think it's easy to associate smoke with the coast.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think peat, like when you just even hear the word peat, you just automatically think Islay, you know, like you just hear the word and that's exactly where your mind goes. And what's exciting about what we've been doing over the past couple of years is like kind of showcasing different styles of peat, you know, Speyside peat, Highland peat. And we've had some peated, you know, 93s that have been really cool. So
I feel like, and for everybody watching, like, this is total transparency. You know, Islay whiskey has become so popular, and for any bottlers of, you know, non-distilling whiskey companies, really, really difficult to get a hold of. You know, I think because whiskey is in such high demand, and Islay especially. So we've been able to get a lot of mainland peated whiskeys from Highlands or Speyside that you don't typically see. And a lot of it, quite frankly, is fueled by, I mean, for anybody, it's like it's just so hard to get Islay whiskey. But I think that's a good example of a scenario that seemed unfortunate. You know, it seemed like we had to do this out of circumstances. But man, it's totally rocked my world. Like this is a fantastic whiskey.
It is.
And just like, you know, it's opened my mind to the relevance of the origin of peat as it contributes to the flavor and the profile of the whiskey. And this is so much softer and approachable, but it's like I said, I call it like a burning forest floor. There's like this locomotive steam element. It's airy, it's lighter, like it's intense, but it's not as medicinal. It doesn't have the iodine. And look, I love all those things, but I'm just saying this exists completely on its own. And just because it's peated, that means nothing. You know what I mean? This is, so I'm just saying it's funny how these sort of experiences come out of, you know, circumstances that are not just like, oh, I want to explore mainland peated whiskey. I think a lot more are starting to discover it because for the moment it's easier to get a hold of, you know. But man.
So on the nose of this, there is, I get like this little like whisper of lime. And the tasting note that was given to me last night is that it kind of reminds them of a mezcal. And I know that's like kind of your thing. So I'm curious to know if you find a little bit of that, whether on the nose or on the palate of this whiskey.
I understand that. I respect that opinion just because it's there. It doesn't have the agave note.
Yes.
You know, so it's hard, but like the smoke profile is similar. It's definitely smells more like burning a plant than it does burning like dead seaweed. You know what I mean? So yeah, I totally get that. Oh, and now I'm like, oh yeah, actually,
I know. That's why I was like waiting to tell you. There is like a sweet.
Oh, damn. Okay. Well, that's okay. You're there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't wanting to, truthfully, I wasn't wanting to believe it, you know.
I know, because I know that's like you really love that. And I just was very curious as to if you found any of that on the palate. Because I get like there's like a little limey, like you said, plant, like sweet peat. It kind of reminds me like very vaguely of Elsa Bay. If you've ever had that, like
I think I've had, I'm not as familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a little quality of that in this. It's really good. So if you like sweet, you like peat, you're kind of maybe dabbling in peat, kind of getting your feet wet, this might be a great option for you.
H. Hemphill says, I've grown somewhat bored of Isla peated whiskey, looking to explore more Highland and space side. Nothing wrong with the mezcal nose. I think exploration is the key, man. I mean, it's I'm at least for me, like I also get bored with things easily. You know, I'm like, okay, I've been drinking this for a year. I'm ready to move on. I'm back on this Isla thing, like after
a little time away.
Yeah, yeah. If it's been a few, not that I've never left, but like I think I've been doing this long enough where what's old is new again to me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, been doing it for that long. It's crazy to think. I feel like it's so crazy. Time goes by.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And Evan, hi Evan. Evan asked, there's no limit on this, and no, there is no limit on this.
Really gentle, light area. I mentioned that maybe come a locomotive steam earlier, and I think that's kind of on there. The burnt dust, man, I love the name burnt dust. So let me go back and with that sort of title in mind.
Yeah.
You call it the title or the name, but with that in mind, I want to see if I get some of that.
Yeah,
it's just like the visual of like lighting dust on fire that I think is really cool.
How would you do that? Like,
I don't know.
Hairspray.
I'm gonna go taste it.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's really good.
It is really good. I just love the sweetness element of this whiskey. I don't find a lot of that on a lot of our peated whiskeys, like that really sweet note. And it's like vanilla sweet to me on the nose.
How can 11-year-old second fill from an Untitled Chapter 125? I don't know. We can just print money for a couple of years and drive inflation, or we can. I don't know. Look, the point is, Cat Turk. Yeah, everything's kind of expensive these days. Doesn't it seem like that? We've certainly tried our best to keep costs down. For instance, when there was a what do you call it? What was that thing? A tariff? It was a tariff?
The tariff?
Or was that tariff? Was that like 25%, something like that? I don't know, because we ate it. We didn't charge our members the tariff. That was our stance. Do a lot of things to keep costs down, but you know, eventually, look at the whiskey market. It's like at a level it's never been before. The demand, you know, and you're in the business of acquiring casks from different distilleries, and everything is up. Brexit had the impact on the times. Global economy is in a different place. So
yeah, I don't know too. And I think too, this distillery is actually, we're seeing we're seeing more of them at least than we have in the past couple of years, which is exciting. I think this distillery just makes brilliant whiskey. For those of you who aren't familiar with this particular distillery, typically this distillery makes a component for blends. It goes into 100 Pipers, which blended Scotch whiskey. They have released some of their own, but very rarely. We very rarely see this distillery, especially in single cask form. And it is becoming, more popular here at the Society, which is exciting. So that's just my hot take on it.
I mean, like at the end of the day, everything I set aside too about prices, cost of living going up. And the big question is always, is it worth it to you? Like the whiskey. I mean, for me, like I buy whiskey for the experience, and sometimes you can spend $400 on whiskey, and the $125 whiskey is like a more memorable experience. It all depends, on what you like. And I think for a lot of people, this could be a game changer whiskey.
Yeah, I think this is
well worth and really well priced, even at this.
Yeah, and I think this is like I said, if you're kind of like teetering on that edge of like, do I want to get into peat? Am I into this? Am I not? I think this is a really beautiful kind of segue into the category. It's got beautiful sweetness, like that peat's kind of like gentle and vegetal and just like enticing. And I'm a big fan of it. Big fan. Well, shall we?
So we have one more whiskey left. And
we'll share.
I'm sorry?
Then we'll share the list of everything else.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So we'll do this. We'll introduce the last whiskey that we have tonight, which is those 6. And then how many did we have in total coming tomorrow?
That is a great question.
We'll share the whole list of everything. So thank you. Appreciate everybody for sticking around towards the end. White Hazy says, "Sweet peat is heaven."
Wow.
Fantastic.
This is a whiskey for you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shall we cruise into the last one, the final stop on our tour here?
Our tour of the Highland sunsets.
Yes.
Of which we are
only sunset ever.
Oh yes. Where is this? Like this is like sky or something. I can't even see.
It's so good.
Oh, the background or the whiskey that you're pouring? Okay.
The whiskey that I'm pouring from one of my favorite distilleries.
Here at the Society, where we don't talk about distilleries, but have just done nothing. But we are going to a place that I have heard so much about.
I want to go so bad. And I know they like don't offer tours and stuff, but I'm pretty sure if I showed up and I knocked on the door and I was like, look, I'm probably like your 4th biggest fangirl in the whole world. You got to let me in. They'd probably let me in. Right? Have you been to this distillery?
No, but I was outside of it yesterday, 2 days ago.
Oh.
Because it's pretty accessible to get to. But let's just introduce the whiskey.
All right, fine.
Look at Evan Bell, by the way. Look at Evan Bell. This guy dropping the gauntlet. Look at this.
Evan knows me well.
This is a man who is so in touch with us. Like he is just Evan. Just you're the man. The fact that Evan is just like calling that out right now. On what? We've said like 3 sentences and he already knows what it is. Evan,
can't help myself.
Everybody, Evan, take a bow. This is a man. Look at that. Look at his picture. Look at Evan's picture. That is exactly what I feel right now when I think of Evan. I want to just raise a glass just like that. That is impressive, Evan.
It is really it's pretty awesome.
Just kidding. It's something else. No, it's
it's a peated fireball.
Go ahead. Tell us the whiskey. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm thirsty.
All right. So the last whiskey that we're going to be tasting tonight is, in fact, Cask 135.39 smoked scrunch munch. And it is a 9-year heavily peated from the Highlands in a single fill barrel. Like all of the boxes are checked on this one. So
what, 9 years old, heavily peated, second fill barrel.
Yes.
Okay.
Into it. I saw this and I was like, yes.
Oh man.
Yes.
This is a trip. I gotta move all my other glasses out of the way. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here, space. Get out of here. Move out of my way. I need some elbow room on this table here. I need to just dive in this one. So, kind of keeping the theme of what we just had last time, which is this is another mainland whiskey. It's a Highland whiskey that sources peat from else anywhere. But full for heavily peated, and I've reached that level, Jenna. I've reached that level where I think you should just take over, because I'm realizing I'm jet lagged, and this is the whiskey number 6, and I'm not going to be very productive, and this is super intense and super amazing.
Yeah.
And you have this like aura going on right now that I just can't compete with. So I'm just going to just fade into my purple background.
All right, you do that. So, but I still want to know what you think of the whiskey. So please.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just saying.
Please do chime in. So the nose on this is very like, it's very green. Like if green had a smell, it would be this. I mean, it's bright, and it's like verdant, and it's, I actually was in a tasting with one of our members, Max Kruger, and I'll never forget this note. He said, you know, like when you're in the woods and with your cousin who's like not well behaved, and you're like climbing trees, and you climb a tree that's too young, and you pull a branch off, and you know, like it's like sinewy and like stringy and like green, like the smell of that, like freshly pulled off branch of like a very young tree, is all I can smell in this. Like
you are that cousin.
And I was a good kid. I never got in trouble. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay. I did. Sorry, you were talking about like the running.
I did grow up in the woods, and
whiskey.
I definitely grew up in the woods, and I definitely grew up climbing trees, and like that's why I think.
Yeah, that's why I said that. I mean,
yeah. Like that note was like, I don't know, just like resonated with me, and I was like, oh my god, it like just took me back to like being a kid, like in the woods climbing trees, and like just the smell of that, and I get a lot of that in this whiskey, and there's just this like beautiful, like, it's so bright. Like if peat could be like bright and alive, like sometimes when you think of peat, it's like sooty and like deep and like all of those things. But this is like bright, like citrus, green, like style peat for me. Like even when you smell it on your nose, you know, like when you smell something that has like a mentholy kind of aroma, and it like it's cold in your nostrils, I get that with this whiskey. It's like a cold peat, cold green, bright citrusy peat. I'm just very into that.
Continue.
It's like, I just tasted it. Oh, Max is here. Hi, Max. I remember that tasting note. But the palate is like kind of wildly different. I mean, the palate is like the peat on this is heavy and like thick. And I mean, it's in like my sinuses, like every nook and cranny of my face. I get that like sooty, like mechanic shop, that like just like dusty, like gritty style of peat. And nose and palate on this are very different for me. A mulch pile. Yes, there's a nice element of mulch pile in this. There's definitely like a really nice earthy quality to this that I wasn't really getting on the nose. So definitely a like full ride of a whiskey on nose and palate on this. So I love it. What do you think? What do you think, Ben?
I was just enjoying the fact that, one, oftentimes I like, if I ever watch a replay of a live stream, I always think, damn, I talk way too much. And every time I go into a live stream, I tell myself, don't talk so much, don't talk as much. But then I can't help it, because I talk a lot, because I like whiskey, and I like to talk about what I like, talk about what I like. And then I was like, I had that moment. I was like, okay, Ben, sit back and just don't say anything, because you're probably gonna rewatch this live stream, and you're probably gonna say, wow, you talked to 80% of the time. And I was really just enjoying hearing you talk. And then I was thinking, I don't really want to talk anymore. And then I was just thinking, no, I really actually do, because this whiskey's amazing.
You have to. This is the last one. You have to tell me what you think about it.
Okay, I've just added a little bit of water. I'm gonna go back into it. I mean, my first thoughts were, this tastes like, and I know this is kind of a specific thing, but eating, it's very mealy, like it's hearty, and it tastes like eating peated barley. Like you get a full mouthful of it. It's brittle, it's ashy, It's very, very smoky. I know a lot of people think like, oh, when you throw this much peat on something, it's like that's the flavor, and the flavor should come from like the angle of the line arms and everything, like in the spirit. I don't really care right now. So this is it was fantastic right away. So that was my impression, but my also impression was that it needs a little bit of water, because you know, like that earlier whiskey we had, it's just kind of begging to sort of open up a little bit. You can tell it's a good experience, but are we really in the flavor? So let me see. Color is like, it's like a deep amber for light, sort of light amber. This is a Megapore.
It's really, 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 really good. I'm gonna read the tasting notes on this. So it says, imagine scrunching English mustard seasoned smoked pork cracklings before munching a smoked roast beef sandwich in a scorched fly cemetery. So eating a scorched fly cemetery. Not quite sure what that would taste like. But on the topic of roast beef, this total weird segue, pretty sure Arby's is coming out with a whiskey. I saw that today. So not to drop any competition or anything. But
wait, what? What did you just say about who is coming out with a whiskey?
Arby's is coming out with a whiskey.
I love
Didn't they do like the potato curly fry vodka?
I don't know what they're talking about, but I love Arby's so much. Yes, I do. Not the beef and cheddar, just the beef. I love Arby's sauce. I love the horsey sauce. Can I get anybody in chat right now to just say yes if you also like Arby's? That's all. I just want one other person to agree. And if so, I will toast to you, because I love Arby's. And I know it's not the best quality food and everything, but Evan Belt, who I was just praising as being such an intelligent guy, just said gross. So Evan, we can.
Oh my god!
Look, here they come! Here they come! Here come my people! Oh yeah!
Oh my gosh! Look at all of them!
Look at all these people, and then I would also say, of all these people, who would also enjoy an Arby's whiskey? Because I would. And
it's happening apparently. So
Ben has the munchies. No, I don't. I just ate dinner before this tasting, which is something I usually don't do for tastings, and I did it, and I'm totally fine. I'm not even hungry for Arby's. I'm just saying it's all right, man. These are the comments that I came here for. And David Fritz says he even worked at Arby's. Oh no, but then he says I won't say anything and then ruin your second passion to whiskey. Oh god, that suggests that there's more to this Arby's story that's going to change my mind. No, David, eliminate that comment, David.
Do you think that the whiskey will taste like a roast beef sandwich? Has anybody ever had a whiskey that you're like, definitely roast beef on the palate of this? I've never had a whiskey where I got roast beef on the palate.
Postmates delivers Arby's. Let me see.
Oh my gosh.
Postmates.
I know what I'm going to get you
for dinner. What? Okay.
His gift card.
Yes. Speaking of Arby's. Oh my god, here we go. All right. 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, what time is it? Okay. All right.
Anyway, this last whiskey is Matthew J. Ryan. I know you're in here. I saw you in here somewhere. If you're a fan of just like that beautiful, heavily peated, just decadent in every nook and cranny kind of profile, this whiskey is just killer. That's all I'll say.
I need to text my wife downstairs. Hey, listen, I'm thinking about ordering Arby's. Like,
do you want it?
I'm not gonna have it like show up by myself. My father-in-law here. Hey, do you want Arby's too? Let's place an order.
My guilty pleasure is Taco Bell.
Oh man!
If they made a cheesy gordita crunch.
Oh my god.
Whiskey. Oh my god! I would Taco Bell.
Okay, that sounds gross. A cheesy gordita crunch.
Make one. I don't care. I will taste it. I will be behind it. I think a cheesy gordita crunch is one of.
Welcome to After Hours, where we talk about fast food. Something I don't really. I'm not a big supporter of, but obviously seem to like want to order right now.
I'll have our things though. There's like that
look,
one.
Look at all these people saying. H-Handful says after this, I'm heading to Arby's.
Oh my gosh!
Everybody's has this on the mind. Yeah. Yeah.
We should do an Arby's and Society tasting, like a pairing.
Any whiskey would pair with an Arby's roast beef sandwich. It is that versatile.
Yeah, let's do it.
So,
all right. Well, I'm going to throw up the full list of everything that's coming out tomorrow. So all of these and what I'm about to put up are all going to be dropping out 1 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. So let me.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to place my Arby's order. So go for it.
Oh my gosh. All right, let me find. Oh, for some reason, my screen share does not want to work. Sorry about that. Jeez Louise.
Okay, so send it to me. I'll pause my Arby's ordering process.
All right, yeah, do that. I'm going to send it to you.
We had this problem
working
recently with StreamYard.
Interesting. All right. Well,
did you send it to me? How did you send it to me?
I can email it to you.
Can you Slack it to me?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know why.
Apologies, everybody. This is
sorry. I've never had an issue with it before.
I'm just curious, is anyone in chat actually ordering Arby's tonight for real? Because if someone else does it, I will place the order.
I think you should just place the order anyway. You'll regret it after this. You're like, oh man, I should have ordered it.
Yeah. I should just have it. I think I'll just have that whiskey and go to bed. But
we're gonna have to have some after hours talk here as this continues to load. It's moving extra slow.
Max Kruger. Yes, Max. I am a millennial and I worked in a couple startups before this, so I brought Slack to the party. I was like, what are those email communicators? I can't take this anymore.
So Slack is not loading for me, so I'm gonna have to email it to you.
Okay, Slack's not working. The screen share is not working.
No, I don't know what's going on. That's so weird. I've never had that problem before. Sorry, guys. Everyone who's listening. Super weird.
I stopped the ticker. Now try sharing. No, I'm pretty sure you can share the ticker. I appreciate that suggestion, but I think you can share with it. We've never had that issue before. There was another issue where I had a restart, like old school restart.
Yeah, no, it's not pulling up. I emailed it to you though.
All right.
You can pull it up and share it.
Oh wow, what sort of file is this?
Maybe that's why.
Oh. Okay, let's see what this works. This is a PNG file. Sorry, everybody. This is Arby's Talk and Technical Difficulties with Ben and Jenna.
I mean, I could really go for a cheesy gordita crunch right about now. I always get crap for it too, because it's like the most expensive thing on the Taco Bell menu.
Yeah. Well, here we go. Here's a list of whiskeys. Everything dropping tomorrow. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 whiskeys. 6 of which we tried tonight. So just quick comments looking through. Oldest whiskey. Oh my, what is this one? 112.88, The Godfather.
I know.
19-year-old second fill barrel.
Great name.
Did I probably scroll up? Here, does this do anything? Can you see this now?
Yeah, I can see the full thing. Yeah.
You see the full thing? Okay, I didn't have the headers up top. That's kind of the price. So Big Dog of The Godfather, kind of cool name. Spicy and sweet. And
flavor made 76.149.
I think there's the 35.302, which we had earlier, a quick-witted dovetail with a cast type that is so complicated it has to be written in a size 6 font. I think that just goes to show, and it tasted as complex as it's listed there.
And I know the 4.281 is the bottle of the month. So if you are in bottle of the month, that is going to be our bottle of the month for June.
Mm-hmm. Few peated whiskeys. Yeah, nothing from Isla or anything.
But it's nice to see a lightly peated, and a heavily peated in this.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that lightly peated cask, 4.281, Heathery Smoke and Crashing Serve. Oh, I love that name too. Heathery and Smoke and Crashing Serve. That has real appeal from a first fill bourbon barrel.
Yeah. And 3 deep rich and dried fruits.
Yeah, that's funny. That's like peated and deep rich and dried fruits are, I think, by far our most popular flavor profile. Yeah, we've got a good healthy selection there. Yeah, some big ones. 125.79. 125 is a distillery we do not see often, maybe one a year. So that's a surprise. Super rare. Wow, from a first fill ex bodega PX Barrique. Presumably that's probably actually the cask I've listed here is probably the last cask. I'm gonna guess that's a double maturation. Because if it's in the sweet, fruity, mellow profile, that probably suggests it's not. If that was full term, probably deep, rich, and dried fruits. Don't you think?
I agree.
Do you know that for a fact? Like, can you look it up?
I don't, but I'll look it up.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. That's probably going to be like, I don't know how many years. 13, 4. I'm going to guess 14 years in bourbon and maybe 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to guess, but I will tell you in just a moment.
Yeah, and then there's your smoked scrunch munch.
What a great name, smoked scrunch munch.
Yeah,
love that. All right, so the 125.79 is 13 years in ex-bourbon, and then went into a first fill barrique from a privately owned small bodega, now in its 9th generation, that focuses exclusively on the Pedro Jimenez grape. So, yep, so 13 and 3.
Yeah, I think there's a typo here. Danielle H. calls out, what's in the scrunch much less than 220?
Oh, yeah, no, that is not 220. The 135 is definitely not 220. The price that we had up before is accurate at 115.
115.
Yep.
Okay, so totally wrong.
Yeah, unless inflation in the last 10 minutes.
That was a Ben comment. All right, so everybody take a screenshot if you're not done looking at this list. I'm about to pull it off in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so that's it. Outturn tomorrow. Thanks everybody for joining. Jenna, any last thoughts on the recap? Any standouts to you? Any sort of
I really love the
whiskey. I'm sorry?
The first whiskey. I really loved that whiskey. It was just like a full symphony in your mouth. And the 108.41 was a lot of fun. The 48-130 was a mosh pit in the mouth, if you're into that kind of thing.
Mosh pit in the mouth. I like that. Yeah.
And I really did love the 12.67. I really loved those like tannic notes on the end of that really just like sucked all the moisture out of your mouth. And obviously the 135.39 I'm a massive fan of. But yeah, I mean, some really, really stunning whiskeys all the way through. So what about you? Any standouts? Any that you want to drop at the end?
The one that threw me for a loop was that really high strength 64.9% one, which was the bodega cask one, right?
That was
the
35.302.
The PX cask, finish. That really like stood out to me. But that third one we had, which is that red wine barrique, was like just like so well balanced.
Really fun.
And then the Arby's whiskey, the Arby's whiskey is a winner. Thank you all for joining tonight. Just obviously this is the little plug. Father's Day is coming up. I'm a dad. You can be a dad too. No, but truthfully, this is like the second biggest season of the year for people who like to gift memberships for the occasion. So if you have a dad that likes whiskey, you can gift them a membership. $100, right? $99. What is it? I mean, if you get the membership, but then you you can pair a tasting kit or any one of our pre-selected bottle bundles and basically save $50. I think it's the way to go. So yeah, looking for a gift, you're like, you know what? I want a gift that I can just go online that I know I can just click and then they can explore cool whiskeys with me too. That's it. That's my shameless plug, because I'm not so shameless, because all these whiskeys, as we're talking about, like, 2 of these are exclusives. All these whiskeys are amazing. I remember like 4 years ago, like we had like the 12th pick in the pecking order of whiskeys that come in. Now we have like the first pick.
I know.
So many people, like, just with the enthusiasm, so many new members joined, and you know, invited friends, and because we don't really advertise, so it was like word of mouth. So if you know anybody who likes whiskey, if they're your dad, you can give them a membership, get a sweet deal. But other than that, it's good seeing you. Good luck tomorrow, I think, with the Outturn. If you have any questions, reach out.
We'll be here.
That's all we got.
All right. Well,
we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, sounds good. Cheers.
And as Scott would say, remember, Scotch Malt Whiskey Society whiskey is not for swishing, slugging, or
swigging. Not swishing.
Swigging,
glugging, or knocking back.
Scott read that once and he hasn't stopped reading it since. It says that in every bottle. Cheers, everybody. Thanks.
All right. Cheers. Bye.